The land acknowledgement, we will begin this gathering by acknowledging that the land upon which we meet is a traditional territory of First Nations people who have a long-standing relationship with the land, water, and region of Southwest Middlesex. The nations along the banks of the Thames River include the Chippewa of the Thames, Oneida Nation of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation, and Delaware Nation of Moraviantown. We convey our respect to our Indigenous neighbors and thank them for their contributions to our culture, our community, our past, and partnerships in the future. The second item on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary area interest. I would like to thank Councillor Choi for declaring a conflict on a relationship with one of the items on the agenda. Is there any other declaration of conflict of interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll look at the agenda. The agenda has been circulated, dated May 24th. Are there any errors or additions that you wish to point out? If not, would someone entertain that the regular agenda of council dated May 24th be accepted as presented? Moved by Councillor McCollum, seconder for that, Councillor Vink. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations. We're pleased to have the Appin community present to us the concept of the Victoria Garden. And if those people would like to step to the front, we'd be delighted if you would inform council of your endeavors.
Hello, Council. Thank you for letting us present tonight. We really appreciate your time. My name is Nicole Clark, and most people know me by Nikki. I've lived in Middlesex County all my life, and in 2005, set up shop in Appin, so I've been there a while. I'm currently in my second term as president of the Glencoe Skating Club. That's maybe where some of you may know me from. I'm also a preschool leader at Gateway Church, and currently now the preschool director. I've had the opportunity to coach many baseball teams as well. I play for the Southwest Ladies low pitch team. I'm passionate about promoting healthy eating, healthy lifestyle. I work as a registered holistic nutritionist, and I love supporting locally grown agriculture. And I also help out at a local CSA farm that people may know as Jansen's Farm Fresh Produce, and just with their local farmers markets.
My name is Heather Jacobs, and I grew up in a dairy farm outside of Ayton, Ontario, which is in Grey County. I was involved with the farm, Girl Guides, and a member of 4-H, as well as a junior leader, completing over 24 clubs. I then studied and lived in the GTA for 10 years, and this time away made me realize the importance of community and how special it is to live in a rural life. I moved here in 2011 to raise my family in an environment that I felt like would best support them. I've lived in Appin for 12 years, and I'm proud to say I'm invested emotionally in this community. I'm fundraising chair for Friends of the Glencoe Library, and acting board member of the Eckford Museum, a member of Creative Communities Group of Southwest Middlesex, as well as a member of both the Glencoe Historical Society and the Horticultural Society. I also sit on parent council for St. Charles here in Glencoe, and I manage my marketing and design business for the past 15 years. I enjoy being an avid gardener and providing the best possible life for my 3 sons. So next slide, please.
How are we doing now? Can we get her? There it is.
So that was our quick introduction. So the idea started with dog walking mamas in the open park. We think wouldn't it be great to have a garden in the park, look at the natural sunlight in space. So today we present the concept of the Victory Garden Project and how this project is important to our community and how it can make a difference. So let's get started.
All right, so what is a Victory Garden project? So today there still are, that they were really important during the World War II in countless ways. They stretched the food budget, provided healthy exercise, produced chemical-free fruits and vegetables, helping the environment and allowing a way for people to be self-sufficient, and often with enough produce left over to share or donate. There's a couple links provided, just examples of Victory Gardens, and one somewhat local to us in London.
So why a community garden? A community garden is a joint effort amongst interested parties to create a green space where all people involved share part of the upkeep of the garden and rewards. So here's some local organizations that could be involved, including neighborhood groups. There's a reference to why a Victory Garden and another example.
So why not make a community Victory Garden? So the Victory Garden Project will enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion in our community by bringing people together in a gardening venture.
So the proposed project, the idea is to work among the community groups to create a project that allows for test plot of gardens, maintenance, education, and social support by providing food to those in need. So these are some of the groups involved: Dynamic Governments, Creative Community, Mary Simpson, Ioko McDonald, Denise Cornell. Nikki and I are the mentors in the presentation. The Glencoe Friends of the Library have agreed to fund seeds. We have a Google Workspace. First App and Girl Guides and the Glencoe Port Society have agreed to assist with the volunteer groups. Local community sponsorship: Dig It Canada, Old River Farm, and Duncan Hodgson. The Eckford Museum Board has agreed to $200 fund for signage, soap hoses after the project approval.
Okay, so the proposed project, the purpose of the gardening project is to work within the community to educate, support, and assist those with food insecurity. It is meant to help gardeners that may not know how to grow their own food, just like the concept of the Victory Gardens. As well, there's different phases. So it's a multi-tier project. We're well on our way. Phase one we've already created an Instagram group to showcase what we are creating. Obviously, if anybody's asking questions, we can answer those questions. As well, promotion of events and sponsors, as well, access to the potential of collaboration of linking circles beyond this project. So phase two is where we are at right now, just needing the approval from council to get to secure location in the Appin Park. So that would be the raised bed garden creation. They are being made as soon as possible because it's time is now for obviously planting. So a local woodworker is making the raised beds for us. One will be accessible height for seniors of 36 inches. The soil and the seeds will be donated by sponsors. And then phase three is the creation of a Victory Garden kit that will allow the project to reach beyond Appin. So Appin's kind of our test kitchen, like our test garden. But the intent is that obviously other communities, we can get hopefully one set up in Melbourne and I know Glencoe has one with, it's not really open to the community, but I know that it supports community with the region. As for phase four is planning for next year. So it's just scaling and reaching out to other local communities.
So we do have a potential event planned. It's a Victory Garden launch party with the Farmerettes. So it's to celebrate the summer solstice in the Victory Gardens of Appin. The Farmerettes were helped during World War II from 1941 to 1942. And we also hope to have some vendors, Ontario native plants, local our market gardens, Jensen Joyce Farms, and the Girl Guides, and potentially an ice cream trailer. The event would be from 6 to 6:45, it would be storytelling in the Victory Gardens. And 7 o'clock, Bonnie Sitter and Shirley Ann English would promote their book, Onion Skins and Peach Fuzz, and then the memories of the Ontario Farmerettes. And we have some sponsors for that as well.
All right, so this is the layout of, there would be 3 raised garden beds. So this is the garden plan for the Giving Garden. So would you like to help feed the hungry in your community? These keeper crops mature late in the season so that they can be donated for during harvest in a single trip to the food pantry. So that's just one of the 3.
This would be the herb garden. So it would be allow for growing of herbs for pickles and salsa and salsas and salads, both annuals and perennials.
And then the third garden plan is the salad bar. So just getting daily fix for garden, fresh greens and herbs that requires no cooking.
And then finally, the garden layout. This is just to showcase what it could be. So there would be a mulch around it, and then the 3 gardens with signs of the advertisers in the middle. And then there is a barn quilt that is added on the building, and we would require water access for the gardens, as well as the mulch, and potentially even some funding as a charitable organization, so we could apply for a grant from Hensel Co-op. And that's it. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Nikki and Heather very much for that presentation. It seems like a great concept. I would also, I think that the thank yous have to go to administration. This is a rather time-sensitive thing, and administration pulled this to get this document on this meeting. Because we know the nature of planting crop, and it's better earlier now than later. And so we will accept this report for information, and later on in the evening, staff have made a recommendation to us, and we will try to deal with it tonight. But I do want to thank you, but the thank you also extends to our administration as well. Council, are there any questions that you might want to ask these ladies? Just a couple. It's an interesting concept, and there's also some academics involved in this, the different types of plantings and things like that. You mentioned advertising signs. Is there any signs that would benefit the academic aspect, the interest, the walker that goes in there? So, well, what's growing here? What are these herbs? What are these spices? What is this particular plant? Have you given any consideration to identifying plantings?
We could definitely make signs. If we had a larger budget, we could, like I'm a designer, so we could make that. And I have I work with HICAC quite a bit. They're a local signage company, and we could create that just for the educational use as well.
I think that would be a value added thing to it. And I'll ask council for another call for questions. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Bink.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. My question is, what are you exactly asking from the municipality? Are you just asking to use the park, or is there other things that you're asking? Let's say the park and the water. Is there anything else that you're asking for?
So it's the park access, the water, mulch for underneath so the weeds don't grow through. And also for the event, we would like the community center access with insurance. And then we would also like to apply for a grant from the Hensel Co-op, but we need a charitable number for that. And that's May 31st, the date that needs to go in. It's for $10,000.
Well, that's substantial. Yeah, that would go a long ways. Yeah. Very often at the council level, we look at the dollars and cents as well as the theory of the project as well. And this question, I don't want you to be offended by it, but is there any remuneration paid to any of the individuals that are associated with this project at all?
No, none of like Heather and myself are not getting paid. It's all volunteer. As for everything's been donated from, but nobody's being paid it. Yeah. at
Okay,
this
no,
point.
it has to be asked. And thank you
Yeah,
very much.
yeah.
And don't feel uncomfortable with that question. It's just that we have to know in advance. Well, thank you very much for that presentation. Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes has a question.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Being a hometown boy in Appin, happy to see this project. You can see that the beds are going to be well made. I just wondered if you could speak to us a little bit about the water. Where is it coming from? I'm not sure at the part what the setup is now.
There's actually a tap in the washrooms near where the gardens are going to be located. It's in the back part of the shed. So we're going to run a hose from that with a timer and then 3 soaker hoses. Alex was looking into that for us.
And where will they be located?
Right in front of the washrooms by the Ball Diamond washrooms.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yeah. And I know Mike Henry has walked that area as well and has scouted it out. And those questions, Deputy Mayor Schultes, are good questions, and staff have been into them. Mike, would you like to speak to that at all?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I think at this point we're accepting the presentation as heard. I can certainly address those items when it comes to the report that accompanies this just due to timing constraints.
Okay, sounds good. Good. I think any other questions? Don, you're okay? Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, ladies. We'll entertain a motion to receive the report for information. Would someone make that, please? Councillor Myers, seconded by Councillor Haggett. Questions? All in favor? Carried. The consent agenda is before you, and it's relatively brief. Please know that any items that you wish to defer or make comment on, please raise your hand and we'll certainly accommodate you. 5A, Building Activity Report, Q1, 2023, $2,276,000. Gentlemen, I would be amiss not to point out Arnie at the back of the room there, and we certainly appreciate his services. And even more than that, we appreciate him increasing our assessment in this community. And Arnie, just as a courtesy, any comments you'd like to make?
I'll have a seat.
Yeah.
So through the mayor to council, as I told council in the past, I'm happy to be here quarterly to present quarterly reports. It's been a very good year for Southwest Middlesex. Some municipalities have struggled, and it's looking very good. The second quarter, I'm excited to present the mid-year report to council with what we've seen.
That sounds great. Okay. Continuing on, Municipality of West Gray and Municipality of Shania, retaining surplus proceeds resolution. 5C, Quad County Support Services Thank You Letter. 5D, Municipality of Huron Shores Municipal Insurance Cost Resolution. And 5E, the last is the meeting minutes of May 10th, 2023. Council, may we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? Yes, thanks very much, Councillor Choi, seconder for that. Councillor McCollum. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. We have a planning matter before us, council, so at this time we will move into Committee of Adjustment to consider a minor variance, A5, 2023. Would someone move that? Councilor McGill, seconder for that. Councilor Vink. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. We'll call the Committee of Adjustment meeting to order at 6:20. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on. The minutes of April 26th, 2023 of the Committee of Adjustment have been circulated. May I have a motion that they be received and approved by this committee? Councilor McGill, seconder for that. Councilor McCollum, discussion? All in favor? Carried. Stephanie, how are you this evening?
Well, thank you.
Good. Would you advise council of the purpose and effect of this application, please?
Certainly. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a 27 square meter or 288 square foot accessory building with a setback from the center line of a local road, in this case being Old Airport Road, of 24 meters or 79 feet, whereas the required setback from center line of a local road is 28 meters or 92 feet. Additionally, the variance is seeking permission for a setback from center line of a collector road, in this case being Dundonald Road or County Road 80, of 27 meters or 89 feet, whereas the required setback from the center line is 33 meters. The subject lands are approximately 20 acres in size and contains a single detached dwelling and 2 sheds. The subject lands are serviced by a private water well and a private septic system and have an existing access off of Old Airport Road. Staff have evaluated the application against the 4 tests of a minor variance and are of the opinion that it is considered to be minor in nature. It is an appropriate use of the land, and it does meet the intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. Notice of the application was circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and staff received the following comments. The county engineer had no comments. Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority had no comment. The chief building official had no objection. The St. Clair Region Conservation Authority had no concerns with the proposed accessory structure, as it is located outside of the regulated area. And the applicant does not require further authorization, provided there are no changes to the location of the proposed structure. The Ministry of Transportation has no requirements, and Public Works has no objections. And at the time of writing the subject report, no comments from the public were received. So it is recommended that the application be granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Just for the benefit of those in the gallery and the applicants, there is a procedure that we follow with the Committee of Adjustment, and it's mandatory that we go through it. At this point in time, the applicants who are sitting in the gallery, if you have anything, any statement you'd like to make or any comment on it, you're more than welcome to, if you so wish. Okay. That's our job. We like to see dreams come true. Okay. There have been no oral or written submissions as discussed. Council, is there any discussion among any of you or any questions that you wish to ask the planner or the applicant? It's a minor variance of 13 feet we're looking at here. Seeing none, it is time to come to a decision of the committee. The recommendation is before you. Seeing no discussion or questions, and the recommendation being granted, may I have a motion to accept the recommendation as presented by the planner. Yes, Martin? Okay, seconder for that. Councillor Choi? Discussion? All in favor? Good, you're ready to rock now. Okay? Future meetings, staff will notify the committee at a later date, and the chair will adjourn the meeting at 6:25. Alan? Alan, do we need a motion to go back in council? No, you don't. Okay, thank you. Number 7, public meetings none. Staff report planning. We have Councillor Choi is gracious enough to submit a declaration of interest and will not participate in this discussion. Stephanie, I'll hand it over to you, and you can advise council of the zoning application here.
Thank you. The purpose and effect of the rezoning application is to rezone the subject lands from the residential first density zone, or the R1 zone, to the residential second density R2 zone, to permit the construction of a 4,134 square foot semi-detached dwelling, which is approximately 2,000 square feet per dwelling unit, on full municipal service with access from John Street. Staff are of the opinion that the proposal is considered to be consistent with the provincial policy statement and is in conformity with the county and Southwest Middlesex official plans, as development is encouraged within settlement area boundaries on full municipal services. The applicant has provided, I'll change screens. There we go. The applicant has provided a detailed concept plan for the proposed semi-detached dwelling, and staff are of the opinion that the concept plan as proposed appears to meet the zoning standards of the R2 zone, as well as the required parking standards of 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. Staff do note that the subject lands are in the middle of 2 parcels that are zoned a site-specific R2 zone, which allow a more limited list of permitted uses than the parent R2 zoning, being converted dwelling, duplex, semi-detached, single detached, and 2-unit dwelling. And so staff are of the opinion that the refined list of permitted uses are appropriate for the subject lands, and recommends that the site-specific R2 zone also apply to these lands. Notice of the application has been circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and staff received the following comments. St. Clair Region Conservation Authority noted that the property is located outside of the jurisdiction. Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority have no objections to the proposal and note that it's not subject to the authority's regulations. The Ministry of Transportation has no requirements. The Southwest Middlesex Public Works Department did note that the applicant is required to have 2 sanitary and 2 water service connections to the semi-detached dwelling, with engineering and design completed in accordance with the Southwest Middlesex design standards. All connections to municipal infrastructure require a permit application for review and approval, and any road work or entrance construction within the road allowance also require a work permit. The chief building official also noted that separate sewer and water services will be required for each unit from the servicing mains. And at the time of writing their subject report, no comments from the public have been received. So it is recommended that the application be granted. Thank you.
Thank you again, Stephanie. Tim, welcome to our meeting. It's good to see you there, and we certainly like to see you progressing in this. At this point of the agenda, the applicant is able to make a remark. Do you have anything to say on it? Okay, things are moving along then. Stephanie has already advised us that there are no oral or written submissions. Council discussion. Any questions you'd like to ask the planner or Tim? Seeing none, we will come to a decision. The recommendation is before you that it be granted. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Myers, Councillor McGill, discussion? All in favor? Carried. Stephanie, thank you. Thanks, Tim. Amy, thank you for joining us again. We have a second piece of business before us regarding 1989 Longwoods Road. Stephanie, could you walk us through this?
Certainly. So as council will recall, Southwest Middlesex staff received a request to formally establish a legal non-conforming use being agricultural crop production, as well as a religious exemption request to permit 2 carriage horses, 2 general purpose horses, 4 draft horses, and a barn to accommodate the horses and manure, whereas the official plan and zoning bylaw does not permit agricultural uses on the subject lands. Staff have worked with legal counsel and the property owner to draft an agreement for council's consideration, which has been attached on the agenda for reference. So it is recommended that council enter into the zoning and religious exemption agreement with the property owners of 1989 Longwoods Road, County Road 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. The applicant's not here to speak to it, I don't believe, or a representation on their behalf. I don't see anyone here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe so. And we have been advised no oral or written submissions. Council discussion, any discussion on it? We're very pleased to accommodate these people and welcome them to the Wardsville community. Council, it's your decision now to grant the legal non-conforming use and religious exemption. Is there a motion to that effect? Councillor Vink, Councillor Choi, discussion? All in favor? Carried. And I too think this will have good benefits for the hamlet of Wardsville. Stephanie, thanks very much for that. Let's see where we are here. I think you have carried your duties very well tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, did you get your computer working?
Yes, sir. Just it
Okay.
did a last minute update for some reason.
That's good. They always happen at the worst time, updates.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have very good volume as well. I can tell you, you're blasting us right out of the room here.
Let me just turn that down.
Either that or you've had a few of those high energy beverages or something.
No, not today.
All right, good,
Okay, how is that? Is that any
very
different?
good. We have 4 drainage applications before us. Andrew, if you could walk us through, beginning with the Butler Drain, section 78, please.
Okay, so the Butler Drain, the background is that it was first constructed under the Drainage Act under an engineer's report in 1955 by CP Corbett, and it established the general placement of the drain starting on the north side of Falconbridge Road, going downstream to then outlet into the Black Branch of the Morrow Drain. There was a section of the drain that was enclosed under a 1995 SPREET report. During the Enbridge gas line installation, it was noticed that there was a problem with the drain in the area of the gas line. Enbridge did come back and fix the situation. However, it was found that the drain under the road was still clay tile that was in very poor condition. It had shifted over time and had cracked. So it is at this point that the council appoints, or I recommend that council appoints SPREET Associates under section 78 of the Drainage Act for concession 3 lot 4 to reconstruct all or part of the Butler Drain.
Okay, thank you. Counselor, are there any questions that you wish to ask Andrew in relationship to the request for a section 78 on the Butler Drain? Seeing none, Don, sorry, Don, I missed your hand there.
Yes, Adam, which part are you going to do, both parts or the drain and be part of that drain?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, at this point, we know of A, where it starts on the east side of 6196 and it loops around to the outlet. At this point, I haven't had any feedback with regards to the other branch that goes up into, I guess it was the Butler property at one point, towards the CN tracks. So we know of one portion of the drain. Going forward, we will find out about the other branch.
Okay. Any further questions? I'll watch these hands. Sometimes we lean on our elbows and I don't notice your hand being put up when you flag. Anyway, that's fine. Is there someone would be kind enough to move the motion as recommended? Yep, and seconded by Councillor McGill, moved by Councillor McCollum. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. That's one of four. Andrew, tonight, Raycraft Winship Drain, appointing an engineer. Could you walk us, council, through this, please?
Thank you, sir. This is a follow-up from last month's meeting. Many of you have seen the large hole in the bridge on Concession Drive on the Raycraft Winship Drain. It was brought to my attention that there was a problem with the bridge. And after some discussions with the owner, it was decided that the bridge would be replaced more or less in the same position. And the best way to do it would be through a new engineer's report to get the OMAFRA grant and to have cost sharing. So at this point, I recommend that council appoint Spreet and Associates under Section 78 of the Drainage Act to construct a new bridge on the Raycraft Winship Drain.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, the recommendation is before you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt it? Councillor Myers, Councillor Vink. Last call for questions. All in favor? Oh, I did. Go ahead, Martin. Yeah.
I can't hear you, Councillor Vink.
What about the cost situation on calculating for the bridge? How is it going to be costed out?
At this point, I don't know the answer to that. There will be an assessment schedule that will be attached to the report. And all of the people that would be involved with this. So that would mean Mr. Winship's property and other properties upstream, including the county road, would be assessed towards this.
Yeah. So the county of Middlesex are involved in this. Yeah. Yeah. Probably for a good portion of the day. Okay. All right. Thanks. It's been moved and seconded and voted upon. All in favor? We'll call that again. All in favor? Okay, it's passed. Alan, thank you. The Glencoe outlet drain 3 of 4. Andrew.
Okay, thank you. This is a separate project apart from the bridge for the greenhouse. However, it was a subsequent request that was submitted to the municipality for brushing and erosion measures. It was decided after some discussion that because the last report that we have on file is from 1998, and a lot of construction and development has occurred in Glencoe since then, and so it made sense to update the maintenance schedule that would be attached to this report, and also to address what needs to be done to the drain in order to prevent it from continued erosion. And this is no fault of any single landowner. It's just the nature of the banks on the drain. So at this point, I would recommend that council accepts the request filed under Section 78 of the Drainage Act, that staff contacts and says St. Clair region. It is Lower Thames, as it does eventually makes its way into into the Thames River, and that we would send out notices to inform all landowners involved, and that staff reports back to council once these have been completed.
Thank you. Are there any questions to Andrew on the Glencoe drain? Seeing none, the recommendation is before you. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor Haggett, seconder. Councillor McCollum. Last call for discussion. All in favor? Carried. Andrew, one more to go.
Okay, so this is a continuation of the last meeting with regards to the Pearson drain abandonment. Excuse me, in the 1990s, the top two branches of the Pearson drain had already been abandoned for future development. Since then, the plan of subdivision and requirements have changed. The current placement of the drain is in the way of development, and it was originally proposed that the developer submit a request under 78 of the Drainage Act to reconstruct and relocate the drain. However, after some discussion, it was decided that abandoning the remainder of the drain would allow for the proposed storm drainage system to take its place. So as a result of the April 23rd council meeting, staff sent out notices in accordance with the Drainage Act to all the landowners within the watershed of the intent and of the request that had been submitted. As of right now, we had not received any feedback. There had not been any inquiries or appeals or questions. We sent everything that would explain what the intent was, what was there currently, and what was going to replace it. And like I said, there was no feedback and no concerns. And it is at this point that I recommend that council abandon the remainder of the Pearson drain in adherence to Section 84(5) of the Drainage Act in response to the request submitted that we have on file, and that council directs staff to draft a bylaw confirming the abandonment of the Pearson drain.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Questions from council through the chair to Andrew? Seeing none, the recommendation is before you. Can I have a mover and a seconder? I'll move it. Is there a seconder? McCollum, Councillor McCollum, thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Oh, yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. The question's from Andrew. Just to be clear, Andrew, we're abandoning the blue line that's on the map that we have in front of us on this report.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct.
So the water, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
So the water that's flowing through that drain now, where is it going to go?
The future plan is attached to the subdivision development plan of subdivision, which has the storm drains that are a part of it. So provided that it goes forward, storm drains would go in its place. And so that would have the whole stormwater master plan, drains and everything, just as a normal subdivision would have.
So we won't abandon it until that time.
So at this point, it appears as though the farm is using it that we know of, and going forward, the contractor would potentially could leave it until development happens. I think that's what you're asking. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is what I'm asking you.
Yes. So the destruction portion of it could wait until then.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councillor Haggett, go ahead.
Yes, so looking at that area now, I've heard a couple complaints about standing water because the developer of two homes to the towards the main street somehow cut that line already. So I don't understand why that line would be cut before and then not fixed at the same time with standing water on the field. So with the new drain, is that going to take it away? I know they're going to develop it, but there's still standing water there for the people.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that new drainage system would remove all of that. That would all be developed. That drain that you're talking about is a part of the already abandoned drain. So at that point, it's a private drain. It's too bad that it happened, but unfortunately, when it's already abandoned, the municipality doesn't have the authority to require that the existing drain be fixed or to be rerouted or anything to that effect.
I know, Andrew, every time you use the word abandoned, it creates some alarm, but I think at the end of the day, the drainage in that area will be greatly enhanced following this development. So we will have better drainage than we've ever had before in there with the ponds and things of that nature. So it'll work out in the long run to benefit everyone in that region.
Yes.
Yep. Go ahead, Councillor Vink.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I'm not trying to be smart here, Andrew, but the one time I was at a drainage report there, and I believe it was on 10th Road, and I thought we were notified that the county asked for a drainage report for a municipal drain. So isn't it right that a municipality or a county can ask for a drain?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes. I actually spoke with the county, and before all of this started, I asked them, would there be an interest? Would they petition for a drain that would run along the road? And the answer to that was no, they would not petition. And at this point, there would be no petition from the municipality that I know of for a drain either. So yes, the county and the municipality or any other landowner does have that right to petition for a drain, but at this point, we have not received any petition.
Okay. Any further questions? Council, the recommendation is before you. What's your wish? Moved by Councillor Haggett, seconder, Councillor Myers. Discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Mike Henry, Appin Community Garden. Can you enlighten us with your wisdom?
There you go. Okay, a couple of things, Council. First item is it was noted that there's a recommendation. Well, it's under a recommendation category. There really isn't a recommendation here by staff at all. It is just we're seeking direction of council in respect to the presentation that you saw. And if council would be indulge me a little bit, could you please disregard the second portion of the recommendation that council direct staff on broader municipal garden initiatives. I think that'll come up later on the agenda, and we don't want to cross broader municipal gardens with this particular scenario. A couple things that I just want to discuss. This group did come to me last Monday. They obviously want to have some stuff happen in June. Waiting till the June 14th meeting of council wasn't going to really work work out for them in that regard. So we did make every effort to get them on this agenda, just like we would do for any group or service club or whatever, or user group in the community. If there's something time pressing, we'll make every effort to make this happen. This report is to instigate council discussing this matter because when you receive a presentation, you don't always get the opportunity. And last but not least, I made a couple of notes during the presentation. I want to note to council that I noted that there were no financial implications associated with this. However, I heard a couple of things from the group this evening. One of them is that there's going to be water required and that water has got to come through municipal sources. The second piece is that there will be hydro use slightly because they're going to have timers that will activate those hoses or soaker hoses to feed that garden. These are just facts. And other than that, there was no funds asked for during the meeting that I had with them. I did suggest to them that somebody or a group that they could associate themselves with consider looking toward a not-for-profit designation in order to get grants. That would be something that would have to come to this council separately in a separate matter. So I'm just letting everybody know that there's facts associated with this. The rest of the report is as fact-based as I can get without, swaying any decision on this. And this is up for council to discuss and direct us in what you'd like us to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Council, if I could take the privilege of just asking Kristen a question here. Kristen, it's not unusual for organizations to ask for your assistance in terms of arranging grants. I know you've done that for years and have done it very successfully. That's a substantial grant, $10,000 when you look at the project through the particular grain company that is offering it is a national or international company, I believe. Mm-hmm. The process of that, you're not worried about. They just contact you and you take them by the hand and work through that process?
I haven't taken a look at the requirements of that specific grant, but typically, yes, I'd have to meet with them and fill in all the particulars, the budget, and then the funds would come likely through the municipality.
Okay, so there's some staff resources that would be required for a brief period of time on that.
The staff resources plus the not-for-profit designation, which would have to be given by this group at this table. So staff cannot give the not-for-profit designation or approve that. That has to come to council for consideration. Okay.
But I'm thinking more of the grant process application, filling it out. But they seem like they are usually fairly articulate at that type of thing, and I think that process would be seamless, I would hope. Council, questions? Yes, go ahead, Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I was just a little concerned about the water situation. I think it's going to be on a timer. Now they were talking about an outdoor tap. What about vandalism with water, or is someone looking after the water, or is there any security? Because it could run into a lot of water if it just keeps on going.
I think my experience with the Avon community is that there's people involved in this project, and I hate mentioning names, but Dunk would be one that is there every day, keeping an eye on things. He lives right across the road, and the security's probably better at that area. That park probably has the best security in Southwest Middlesex. So I'm not too worried when I see the names of his name on the manuscript and a couple of others there that I know will be. David Bastian is president of past president of the Horticultural Society, and his name is on there. So with their support, I think that might be mitigated to some degree. Yes, Councillor Choi, please go ahead.
Thank you. So if I understood correctly, they require the charitable organization for them to be a charitable organization, and we must be the ones to approve that in order for them to apply for the grant by May 31st.
In this case, I would say yes. They noted not-for-profit status, which they do not have. So there's a bit of a process for them to do that. In fact, I don't think they would even get through the process that they would need to do to get it to this group by that time, certainly.
there a way to expedite the process in order for them to apply for that grant on time?
Would they not, Kristen, ask the municipality to apply for it on their behalf? Would that be possible?
I'm going to jump in. No, that is not possible.
Okay.
The grant is a requirement that if they be a not-for-profit status, therefore we really can't help them. We would help them with any circumstance that they came forward that was a not-for-profit or that didn't require that not-for-profit designation. But when you require that, that's a process that we can't help them with. They have to come here and ask for that. Further to this, you have to be very careful, Council, and I caution just very loosely. Sometimes groups will use a municipality or the veil of the municipality to apply for grants where there's grants that are similar that we should be applying for to obtain things. And you'll get the association contact you and say, which one do you want? Because you can't apply for two. And you have to be very careful to cross over those types of things. But we're always here to help. And if we can, we will. But in this circumstance, that not-for-profit holds things up, and that's at their end. They have to do that themselves and then apply to you.
Okay. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Just to touch on Councillor Vink's comment earlier about the vandalism, there has been some vandalism at the park in years past, but I believe that the two people that were responsible for it no longer live in town, so it's not going to be as much of an issue. And I'm just wondering on who is paying for the water. Like if they get a grant in the future, will that go towards the water bill or?
I don't think those questions could be answered at this time, unless staff have more information than I have.
I don't. In fact, I think that between the manager of finance, treasurer, and myself, we could probably determine what the metered water was in the park for the first season. In past seasons, determine what the variance would be once the garden is set. If council was willing to let it go through for a year and come back and revisit it, what those costs would look like. But I think we'd need to do that because we are their only source up there to go through. We wouldn't be able to determine, we would be once we saw some season go by to see what it would look like. I can't see it as being extensive, but as Councillor Vink points out, something breaks or something isn't monitored, and it can get away on the grant.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councillor Choi.
Thank you. So the access to the water is inside the shed.
The hydro source is at the pavilion. Pavilion feeds the washrooms that are there, and the water source is coming from the washrooms, and it'll come back toward I'm going to call it southeast of the, thank you, the southeast of the washrooms there in front of them toward the driveway. So yes, it would have to come out of that building, and there may be a little bit of cost to get it to come from that building out to the planters or the boxes.
I noticed they had some private donations coming forward too. That would could be the seed money to get them going. There is a community garden in Southwest Middlesex, just between Tim Hortons and the Anglican Church. There's a garden there, and that's very busy. About 20 people exercise the use of that garden, and in the regen, the herbs and things of that nature, and some of the vegetables are used in the preparation of food that they disperse twice a week. So that's a very busy garden, and it's always immaculate. There's never any litter. It's well maintained, and I would hope the same would materialize and happen. Councillor Haggett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been down to Appin, and I'm just going to support them because that group really do an outstanding job. They're all about that park, Historic Society, the plays, and I think anything that can do to support them, I will back because they're just doing a wonderful job.
Yeah,
They really are. And Dunk Hodgins, you can say whatever you want. He's there every day.
yeah.
He's checking on stuff. He sends me texts with the signs down. So, I mean, he's there every day, making sure things are rolling. And he's going to build the boxes.
Yep.
And he does a great job. And he really does know that town.
He does. There is a spirit about Appin, and I've mentioned it before. before to other councillors, perhaps even Mike Henry, that there is a certain spirit in Appin that I wish other areas of our municipality would have that same degree. So I endorse Councillor Haggett's opinion of Appin. They are good workers, and they, for lack of better words, there's community spirit there. Okay, council is before us. We want to make sure that we satisfy staff, administration in our recommendation. Yes, Councillor McCollum.
Yes, I've got no problem with a garden going in there, providing it's all volunteer help. And this nonprofit section is going to be, the holding back is the money for this nonprofit application. I don't think we can even grant it.
No, but that's on their shoulders. That's on their shoulders. They'll have to
Okay,
put their shoulder to the wheel and communicate with staff. Am I incorrect in that?
Yeah, it is no different than the local Lions Club or another group in the community. If they wanted to get that not-for-profit designation, everybody would have to come here and get the blessing of council in order to move on with that application for not-for-profit designation. So if they have volunteers and they have sponsors and they have sources of funding elsewhere, that's up to that group. It's just they can't apply for that one particular grant unless they have that status. They can apply for all kinds of things. They can ask whoever they want for money, but that's the only sources it seems like they have for funding.
And that may have to be communicated to them. I'm sure they know it, but it may have communicated to them. Just to, it's our focus here is to direct staff on this, that we approve the project and principle and encourage the group to apply for their not-for-profit status, and that we will allow that if the project commences, that we will allow them to tap into our hydro and our water on that particular building. So we accept it in principle. We will convey the goodwill of letting them use our water and our hydro over the growing season. It's not all year, yeah, of course. It's not. I think it's going to be minimal the cost that we will incur on hydro and water, and that be communicated to them that we encourage them to apply for their not-for-profit status. Have I covered everything there, Michael?
Yeah, the one is already done. They were instructed on how they could do that for that, but we can make it in from this council resolution. It's your wishes. That's for sure. It's will of council. If everybody approves that motion. Alan, did you get most of that there?
Through your worship, I have, if I may, I'm going to append that it be accepted for information at the start, and that approved project in principle, and that the council encourages them to seek not-for-profit status, and that the municipality allow them to use the tap and hydro at that facility.
That's correct. Okay. Yes, Councillor Choi.
Thank you. Could we add to that we have a report back within a year's time to see how it went forward and if we could implement in other communities?
I think that would be a good idea.
I would say that we don't need a year. We can probably do it after the third quarter, because as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, the water would be cut back, and then we'd know what the hydro use was over the season.
Yeah.
So we could probably bring one back in November. Yeah.
Report back following harvest or in November. Yeah, so that's a great suggestion, Councillor Choi. Okay, the motion has been dictated. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor McCollum moved it, seconded by Councillor Haggett. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you for your patience there, Mike. Are there any notices of motion? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Let's see here. I guess I won't bother reading it out. I had submitted a notice of motion last week. It was declined by the interim clerk, so I'll just condense it. I was requesting if staff could supply us with a list of all of the municipal gardens and recommendations for their upkeep and or removal.
To your worship, with enthusiasm.
Yeah, I think that's well received, Deputy Mayor. I think I think first impressions are important right through the whole municipality, every corner of it. And I think at last count, I think we had in excess of 60 gardens of various types throughout the municipality, and we may have to focus on a smaller quantity and keep them better. And it reduces time and maintenance, and it's a case of increased efficiency to obtain more visual impact. That's what it boils down to, and I thank the Deputy Mayor for bringing that forward. Okay, anything else? We'll look forward to that report. Okay. Correspondence and petitions. Oh, yeah, let's go ahead. It's just a notice of motion. It doesn't require anything. Yeah. 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 Correspondence and petitions, there are none. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, there is none. Conference updates, County Council will be coming up with a report shortly. Announcements, any announcements that any of our councilors have? Yeah. Yes, Martin, go ahead, please.
I stopped over at the pool the other day and seen they're putting in a new water line. And then they told me the floor is in on the arena.
It is.
So that's a good, that's
Good
a
news,
good
and
announcement.
I think we're on target for the end of June. Yeah. Anything else? Good Presbyterian Church dinner coming up in June. And I'm sure we can get tickets for staff or council. And council, I came in the other day and I had a letter on my desk. I do receive these from time to time. I mentioned this to Alan very often. There's a significant amount of correspondence that comes into the mayor, and I've been pretty good. Alan and I work well together, and they're, I think, forwarded daily to you, Alan, 3 or 4 occasions probably. This one, however, it was sent on my desk, and I'm just looking at this. It's kind of time sensitive. I mentioned it to Alan today. It's from Quad County Support Services, and they are celebrating 60 years of service to individuals with developmental disabilities to live the best of their lives in our community. And they have a mandate where every person belongs and is valued, respected, and treated with dignity. I have said it before that Quad County are a vital component to Southwest Middlesex. They have one of the largest staffs of any organization, professional or business or service organization in our municipality. The socioeconomic impacts from not only their staff, but their clientele is enormous. Any community event, you will see familiar faces of their residential care program in attendance at the Lions bingos. You'll see them at the Canada Day celebrations, the church suppers, the fairs, the agricultural society events. So it's very cool that they're celebrating 60 years in our community. And to celebrate this, on June 11th, they will be having an open house and a celebration from 2 to 4 at the Glencoe Agricultural Hall. So they have invited all of council to attend June 11th, 2 to 4 at the Glencoe Ag building. So please put that in your calendars. I'm sure they'd be delighted to share a coffee and a piece of cake with you. The Quad County. And that invitation was extended by Linda Long, Executive Director of Quad County Support Services. Council, I'll call for announcements again. Are there any? Okay, I think we can move on from there. No closed session. No insurance numbers. We were kind of hoping. Okay, we'll do that again. We'll do that again. Bylaws, are before you. Councillor Choi has declared a conflict of interest on one. She'll be excused from this. That bylaw 2023/030 be adopted as read. I require a mover and a seconder for that. And if you need any clarification on that bylaw, I'll direct you to Alan. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Okay, Don McCollum and Councillor McGill. Staff, any questions? All in favor? Carried, and we'll bring Councillor Choi back into the circle. Bylaw 2023/031 be adopted as read. I need a mover and a seconder for this as well. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Choi, seconder for that. Councillor Myers, questions? All in favor? Carried. Future meetings, staff will advise us in due time. And thank you again, Council, for your work this evening. We moved Southwest Middlesex ahead again in our endeavors, and we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:11. Oh, when is it? May 30th? Okay. Because I don't know that. May 30th. Maybe I did.